Hello and welcome back to another week of playing Pauper. I'm your host Jake, and this week's deck is Black-Green Threshold. It comes to us from a viewer named Ewan, so thank you very much Ewan for submitting the deck list. And it makes use of a new to Pauper card, Nimble Mongoose. It has previously not been printed at common rarity on Magic Online, but now that it has, it is legal. So let's check out the pieces of this deck and how it works. So first let's look at the creatures that care about our graveyard. We have 4 Nimble Mongoose. As long as we have Threshold, which is 7 or more cards in graveyard, it's a 3/3 Shroud for 1 mana. Moldegraft Scavenger, which is a 2 mana 3/4, as long as we have 4 or more card types among cards in our graveyard, which is the new Threshold-like mechanic from Shadows over Innistrad. And then we have 4 Werebear, which can either add mana or it can attack as a 4/4 once we get Threshold. Other creatures in the deck, we have 2 Golgari Brownscale to dredge and fill up our graveyard, and also it can gain us some life. 3 Stinkweed to fill up our graveyard a lot faster and to trade off with creatures due to its Death Touch-like ability. And we also have 4 Gurmag Angler. The Gurmag Angler is technically anti-synergy with the deck because we want to fill up our graveyard and this empties our graveyard. However, Graveyard Angler is so efficient and this deck is so good at filling up its graveyard that we can often have Threshold and an Angler out at the same time. Alternatively, we can attack with a bunch of Threshold creatures, and when our opponent is forced to remove them, then we can clean up shop by playing Anglers for cheap. Our tools to fill up our graveyard include 4 Vessel of Nascency, a new Shadows over Innistrad card, and 4 Grizzly Savage. They each get us a card back after we use them, while simultaneously dumping a bunch of stuff in our graveyard for us to count up. We also have a Singleton Pulse of Marasa for some life gain and to get back a creature that we might need. For removal, we have 2 Deadweight and an Executioner's Capsule. We include them because they're an enchantment and an artifact respectively, and they help us get Delirium. We also have 4 Chainer's Edict and 2 Doomblade. Given that we have 3 things that can't hit black creatures main deck, we are conceding a little bit of a weakness to mono black control, but the trade-off is that we get very good removal against other decks. For our lands, we have some basics and a bunch of different fetch lands, so we can fill up the graveyard with those. We also have some artifact lands, because those help to our Delirium when they get milled, and a 1 of Barren Moor and Tranquil Thicket for when we get mana flooded. Out of the sideboard, we have Nihil Spellbomb to nuke opposing graveyards without touching our own, an Echoing Decay against token decks, or just decks where we need more removal. 2 Quiet Disrepair. This can be against Affinity or enchantments, or we can simply enchant one of our artifacts and gain 2 life a turn. And we also have Seal of Primordium. We have these cards over Naturalized because they go to our graveyard as enchantments and help with Delirium. We can also grab these from a Vessel of Nascency, whereas we can't grab an instant from Vessel of Nascency. We also have 2 Shrill against token decks. We have 4 Choking Sands against Tron. We have an extra Golgari Brownscale for when we need more life gain, and 2 Pulse of Marasa against control decks where we need to keep on recurring our biggest creatures over and over again. Anyway, that's it for the deck, so let's get to the matches and see how we do. Don't forget that you can submit deck lists for me to play by emailing me at pauper@mtggoldfish.com or tweeting to me at jakestylesmtg. Having a lot of different choices for cool decks that I can show off makes this series a lot more fun to produce. So thank you to everyone who has submitted so far, and to those of you who are going to submit in the future. Okay, let's get to the matches.